But I do know that it really does. It really does, and it goes beyond reason.
The Oak Island curse is real. We're not talking about the legend that 7 must disappear before the treasure is found. We're talking about a new horror, one uncovered just weeks ago.
There is a definite presence on Oak Island, and I don't know if this feeds into the curse.
The La-gina brothers, in their most daring move yet, sent a submersible drone into the heart of the money pit. It didn't find gold, it found something. Alive. The footage is so shocking, so fundamentally terrifying, that it has been completely suppressed. But leaks are starting to emerge, and the whispers from the crew paint a chilling picture. What many overlooked is that the pit wasn't built to keep people out. It was built to keep something in. Mystery from the deep. The air on Oak Island was thick with a tension you could almost taste. For years, Rick and Marty Lagina, along with their dedicated team, had poured their hearts, souls, and millions of dollars into this small patch of land in Nova Scotia. They had battled against a 200-year-old curse, impenetrable soil, and the infamous, brilliantly engineered flood tunnels designed to threaten anyone who dared to get close. But this time was different. After months of seismic testing and ground-penetrating radar scans, they had pinpointed an anomaly deep below the traditional money pit area, a large, void space that didn't match any previous survey. It was a chamber, untouched and, they hoped, unflooded. To put it mildly, this was the breakthrough they had been waiting for. You see, sending a human down was out of the question. The risk was far too great. The most shocking fact is that 6 people have already lost their lives in this quest, a grim statistic that hangs over every operation. So they brought in Cerberus, a custom-built, state-of-the-art submersible drone. This wasn't some off-the-shelf toy, it was a $300,000 piece of engineering marvel, equipped with multi-spectrum sonar, high-definition cameras, and a powerful lighting array capable of turning pitch-black water into day. Its mission, to enter a newly drilled 7-inch borehole, navigate over 160 feet down, and be their eyes in the abyss. Inside the war room, the atmosphere was electric. Every member of the team, Rick Marty, Craig Tester, Dave Blankenship, was glued to the massive screen displaying Cerberus's live feed. The drone's descent was slow and methodical. The first 100 feet were a familiar blur of mud, clay, and timber, the same layers that had frustrated treasure hunters since 1795. But then at around 155 feet, the drill operator's logs proved accurate. The drone broke through a layer of packed coconut fiber, a hallmark of the original money pit builders, and emerged into a pocket of shockingly clear water. Below it, a void. The sonar painted a picture of a surprisingly large chamber, maybe 20 feet across and 10 feet high, with a floor littered with debris. The team's excitement was palpable. "Take us down, nice and slow."
Okay, Joey, carrying on down.
Yeah, Roger.
Rick's voice was a low, steady whisper, a stark contrast to the frantic beating of everyone's hearts. The drone's lights cut through the darkness, illuminating the cavern walls. They weren't natural rock. The most shocking fact is that they appeared to be made of hand-cut stone, fitted together with incredible precision, much like the stones of the pyramids. Who on earth had the technology to build something like this underground centuries ago? As Cerberus panned across the chamber floor, the team spotted it.
This is a very exciting thing, and it's important to see whether it's man-made or not.
Not a treasure chest, but something far stranger. It was a large, flat, circular stone, like a massive millstone sitting in the center of the room. Carved onto its surface were symbols unlike anything they had ever seen. Not Templar, not Masonic, not pirate. They were geometric, alien, and seemed to glow faintly under the drone's powerful lights. What many overlooked in that moment of discovery was a dark shape huddled against the far wall of the chamber.
Let me just zoom in on there.
There's something right in there, yeah.
"What is that? Zoom in there," Marty commanded, pointing at the screen. The drone operator complied, its thrusters humming softly as it moved closer. The shape was not rock or wood, it had a defined form, hunched over as if in waiting. As the light hit it, the image on the screen became clear and a collective gasp filled the war room. It was vaguely humanoid, but its proportions were all wrong, limbs too long, a head too large. It was pale and featureless. Then, just as the camera was about to get a perfectly clear shot, the unthinkable happened. The shape on the screen moved. It unfurled with an unnatural speed, and two large dark eyes seemed to open and stare directly into the camera lens. For one horrifying second, the team saw it. Then the screen erupted in a blizzard of static. The feed was gone. An unearthly, high-pitched screech burst through the audio feed before it too went silent. Cerberus was offline. The cable was dead. The thing that had waited in the darkness for centuries now knew it was being watched. 2 centuries of failure. What the team saw in that chamber was a new terrifying chapter, but the book of Oak Island's mysteries is long and written in failure. To understand the sheer horror of that moment, you have to go back to the very beginning. The thing nobody tells you is that this entire saga started with teenage curiosity. In the summer of 1795, a young man named Daniel McGinnis discovered a circular depression in the ground under a large oak tree. He saw it as the perfect spot for buried pirate treasure.
I couldn't be as dismissive of the pirate theory after that.
So he and 2 friends started digging. What they found wasn't a chest, but a carefully constructed shaft. Every 10 feet down, they hit a platform of oak logs. It was the first sign that this was no ordinary hole. This discovery kicked off a treasure hunt that has now spanned more than 2¼ centuries. Company after company, syndicate after syndicate, they all came to Oak Island with dreams of gold and glory. They brought bigger machines, more manpower, and deeper pockets. But not all things are what they seem. The island had its own defenses. The builders of the money pit were not just diggers, they were brilliant, ruthless engineers. At a depth of approximately 90 feet, treasure hunters in the 1800s made a startling discovery. After pulling up yet another oak platform, the shaft began to fill with water, rising at an incredible rate. They had triggered the ultimate booby trap. Later explorations revealed a complex system of flood tunnels dug from Smith's Cove on the island's shore directly to the money pit. These weren't crude channels. They were a marvel of engineering. The tunnels were designed to use the ocean itself as a weapon. The moment the main shaft was dug past a certain point, the pressure difference would breach the tunnels, flooding the pit with an endless supply of seawater. Think about the sheer audacity of it. The construction would have required hundreds of men, years of labor, and a level of hydro-engineering knowledge that simply shouldn't have existed in North America at the time. This has led to endless speculation. Was it the work of rogue Templar knights hiding the Holy Grail, or perhaps French military engineers burying a war chest? And you can see this everywhere in the island's lore, the intersection of genius and malice. But the traps weren't just mechanical. An eerie legend emerged over the years, a prophecy that 7 men would have to pass away before the island would reveal its secrets. To date, 6 men have perished in the quest, in incidents ranging from collapsed shafts to mysterious gas pockets. This history of tragedy and frustration is what makes the La-gina brothers' quest so compelling. They weren't just digging for treasure, they were fighting against history, against a curse, and against the ghosts of every failed expedition that came before them. They had pushed further than anyone, using modern tech to bypass the old traps, only to find something far worse. Rick's terrifying silence. The silence in the war room after the drone feed cut out was heavier than any stone on the island. It was broken only by the frantic, useless clicks of the operator trying to re-establish a connection. But everyone knew it was hopeless. What they had seen was real, and the implications were staggering. Rick La-gina, usually the eternal optimist, was pale.
It's a year of pivotal moment.
His face a mask of disbelief and pure, unadulterated fear. He simply stood up, walked out of the room without a word, and wasn't seen by most of the crew for the rest of the day. The immediate aftermath was chaos, but a very controlled chaos. Marty, ever the pragmatist, took charge. The first order was a complete lockdown of the site. No one was to leave, and more importantly, no one was to talk. All personal cell phones were collected. The message was clear. This was no longer a television show. This was a situation. The thing nobody tells you is how quickly a dream can curdle into a nightmare. Within hours, the familiar rhythm of the Oak Island operation was shattered. The heavy machinery fell silent. The hustle and bustle of the crew was replaced by hushed, nervous whispers. By the next morning, things got even stranger. 2 black unmarked helicopters landed in a clearing near the causeway. Men in dark suits carrying briefcases and radiating an aura of cold, bureaucratic authority disembarked. They weren't from the History Channel and they weren't local officials. Their arrival was swift, silent, and intimidating. They met with Marty and Rick for several hours in a closed-door meeting. No one knows what was said, but when Marty emerged, his expression was grim. He informed the entire production crew that, due to unforeseen geological instabilities, all operations were suspended indefinitely. The official story was a lie, and everyone knew it. What many overlooked were the small details. The hard drives containing the drone footage were confiscated by the mysterious visitors. All geological survey data and drilling logs related to the new chamber were taken. It was a systematic erasure of evidence. A few crew members who were sent home were required to sign extensive non-disclosure agreements with legal penalties so severe they would never risk speaking out. But whispers still managed to leak. An anonymous source, allegedly a junior member of the team, posted on a Reddit forum describing a biological entity and a cover-up of historic proportions. The post was deleted within minutes, but the story was out. Rick's silence was perhaps the most damning evidence of all. For weeks, he avoided all contact. When a persistent local reporter finally caught him near his home in Michigan, Rick looked like a man haunted. He refused to answer any questions about the drone, the chamber, or the lockdown. He just stared at the reporter with hollow eyes and said, "Some things are buried for a reason. We should have left it alone." The treasure hunt was over. A full-blown conspiracy had just begun. A threat to humanity? With the island locked down and an official narrative of instability being pushed, the world was left to speculate. And the speculation was wild. People who watch this kind of mystery are looking for possibilities beyond the ordinary, and the drone incident provided endless fuel.
As we break into the cavity, we can start to see the walls, the sides of this cave.
What was that thing in the chamber? The theories that exploded across the internet and in paranormal circles ranged from the historical to the otherworldly. The thing is, when you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. One of the leading theories revolves around the Templar Knights. Many believe they were the guardians of powerful sacred relics, not just the Holy Grail, but perhaps something more potent, something that required a guardian. Could the entity in the chamber be a watcher or a guardian, placed there centuries ago to protect a secret that could shatter the foundations of modern religion? The lead cross found seasons earlier, dating to the Templar era, suddenly seemed much more significant. It wasn't just a clue, it was a warning sign. Another, more terrifying theory suggests an extraterrestrial origin. You see, the intricate symbols on the stone disc didn't match any known human language, ancient or modern. Some analysts who saw leaked, blurry screenshots claimed they resembled patterns found in cosmic microwave background radiation. Could the money pit be a crashed alien vessel or a beacon with its lone occupant waiting in stasis for centuries? The sudden shutdown of all electronics, the drone, the cameras, is consistent with a powerful electromagnetic pulse, a defensive measure far beyond 17th century technology. Are we missing a key detail about humanity's own history on this planet? Then there is the most primal theory, that the money pit is a prison. What if the complex traps and flood tunnels weren't designed to keep treasure hunters out, but to keep something ancient and malevolent in? A creature from a forgotten age, an entity so dangerous that a secret society dedicated generations to building an inescapable cage for it. This theory turns the entire Oak Island legend on its head. The curse isn't a myth, it's the prison's security system. The 6 who perished weren't victims of accidents, they were casualties of a failing containment. So is all of this true? Did this happen overnight? Of course, we must remain skeptical. There's been no official confirmation, and the story relies on leaks and anonymous sources. It is entirely possible this is an elaborate hoax or a misunderstanding. But the evidence, however circumstantial, the team's silence, the government-style intervention, Rick's haunted expression is compelling. It forces us to wonder. The mystery of Oak Island may not be about what we can find, but about what might find us. Is humanity better off not knowing some truths? Let us know what you think the drone really saw. Like and subscribe for more, because this mystery is far from over.